Hello folks, this is Scott with Dallas Paint Correction and Auto Detailing here in Dallas, Texas. My next 4 or 5 videos are going to be about paint correction, the things that I do as far as how many pads would I choose when I go to a job to do paint correction, how many pads will it actually take me to perform a 2-step correction, let's say on this 4-door family sedan. I'm also going to get into the dual action polisher, what is it really capable of doing, talking about the rotary, foam pads versus microfiber pads. But the first thing I want to talk to you guys about is what is my philosophy when I look at a 4-door family sedan like this. I instantly know right off the bat, and some of this number is probably going to scare you. If I'm going to do a 2-step correction, guess how many correcting pads I'm going to use for this 2-door family, or this 4-door family sedan. I'm going to use 8, not 7, not 9. I'm going to use 8 pads, and I'll tell you why. I use the roof as an indicator on how much territory I want any particular pad to do for me during this whole process. I will use 1 pad to correct the whole roof. I then release it from my DA. I'm never going to use that pad again. I want to work clean. I want to work effectively. I don't want to be wasting time on the side of the car trying to get through this process, pumping a pad washer and cleaning my pad, because as you're wasting your time with a pad washer, I'm not saying the pad washer is a waste of time. You got to remember, as a professional, I want to move fast. I want a bigger return on my investment. I want more pads available to me, because the cleaner I work with these pads and the longer these pads last for me, the more money, the more profitable I will become. So I'm going to use that 1 pad for the roof, right? I'm then going to release it from my DA and put another pad on my DA, and I'm going to do half the trunk and this whole rear quarter panel right up here to the roof. I then release it from my DA. I am now on to the 3rd pad. The 3rd pad is going to do the passenger door in the rear, and it's going to do the driver's door. I then release that from my DA. I then use the new pad that I put on my DA for the front fender and half the hood. I then take it off and I continue that process all the way around the car. The 8th pad in that scenario, because 1 pad was for the roof, we then had 1 pad for the trunk and the rear quarter panel, 2 pads here for the door, or 1 pad for the 2 doors, 1 pad for the fender and half the hood. That's going to be 6 around the sides of the vehicle and 7 for the roof. My 8th pad is going to be for the front bumper and the rear bumper. I then blend the car in that way. Folks, why do I do this? 1, I just want to work cleaner all the time. I am still going to use, where is it? I wanted to show you guys this. I probably lost it already, but I'm going to still, every time I do a 2x2 area, then move to the next 2x2 area, I'm still going to take a pad brush and clean the top of my pad. But I don't want to work my pads too long. This pad right here happens to be a Griot's Correcting Orange pad. This is not the best pad on the planet. It's not the worst pad in the planet. It's about middle of the road. I've owned this thing for about 5 months and I use it almost weekly. You'll notice the landscape or the side view, the profile view of this pad. There is very little compression in the middle of the pad. 1, I don't work my pads that long to be able to start ruining them that way with this philosophy I'm sharing with you. I also want to make sure that if you ever look at your pad when you're doing a 2-step correction on a car, I want to look at the side of it, because you can only release so much spent compound and clear coat with a pad brush. I don't ever want the saturation of the old compound to be more than 1/4 inch of the pad when I look at it from the side. Why? Because I'm going to clean these pads later. I don't have time to clean them in my customer's driveway. I just rather have more pads available to me, always work clean, always work effectively, and just keep moving down the car. What I want is only 1/4 inch saturation on the pad. The reason for that is when I bring them home and I want to clean them by hand later, you got to remember there's a Velcro backing on this, right? So everything that's in this pad has to be flushed and pushed out the side. I have seen some professional detailers, and I used to do this years ago. I'd let too much compound get in the pad. You'd almost see half of the pad full with compound. And what would happen is when you try to flush it out and clean it, some of it will get trapped inside the pad because it can't release out the rear. You'll think that you've got it all clean, you'll let it dry overnight, then you'll use it for another paint correction job maybe a day or two later, and you'll start off with your clean pad you think is clean, put some new compound on it and start on a new job. You'll then start kicking old dust and compound out of the pad. I want a pad that's going to last long for me. That's why I use 8 for the initial cut. I don't want to work them too long so they start collapsing. I don't want too much compound building up inside the pad so it's much easier to clean and release later. I also want to get about 7 or 8 months out of this pad that cost me $7.50. I want a bigger return on investment. I work faster this way. This just happens to be my process. The roof, half the trunk, the rear quarter panel, the 2 doors, the fender, half the hood, and I just go all the way around the car. Then I do the bumper and the rear bumper. I just wanted to share that with you. I'm always working clean. Makes it for a better cut and more effective during the process. Then when it comes to the polishing phase, I will only use about 4 polishing pads. This happens to be a Lake Country polishing pad. It's just got a light cut to it. But I only need about 4 of them during the polishing phase. Why? Because I'm not removing clear coat anymore. I'm just polishing the paint. I'm kissing the surface. I'm kind of jeweling that paint to just restore more shine and gloss. So all I'm going to get is compound on this pad or polish on this pad. I'm not going to be using a lot of polish on these pads during the polishing phase. So it's going to be easier to control and maintain. So I have about 4 of them for a 4-door family sedan. I hope that helps you. That may be excessive to some of you. Holy crap, 8 pads for the cutting, 4 pads for the polishing. I can turn, if you're working with a pad washer or trying to clean this by hand because you're using 2 or 3 pads for your initial cut, you got to stop and clean your pad by hand or use your pad washer. You might be turning a 5-hour job into a 6-hour job. I don't want to do that. I don't have time for that. This is a very long process to begin with as a professional. I just want to be more effective, more efficient, so I want more pads available to me. And because of that, I get a higher return on my investment with my pads. They last me far longer than anybody else that I know in paint correction. Just wanted to share that with you. I love you all, and I hope that helps. Talk to you soon. The next series of videos is going to be about the 2x2 area. How do you cut paint or correct paint within a 2x2 area? I'm going to show you a way that's more effective, that's less strenuous on your body. It's going to be more effective cut. Instead of doing 6 section passes, you might only have to do 3 or 4. I'm going to talk about the microfiber pad versus the foam pad. What is a better choice? I'm also going to be talking about what can the dual action polisher really do versus maybe a rotary. So we're going to have fun over the next series of videos. I love you all. I just wanted to share that process with you. Again, come up with a process that works for you. I'm just automatic pilot. Every time I hear a customer say, I got a 4-door family sedan, I know what I'm going to do every time I get to that customer's home, and I don't have to think. I just want to get into automatic pilot, release pads, new pads, release pads, new pads. I always know it's going to take 8 pads for the correction on this car and about 4 to polish. I can clean these things later. I'm going to turn a 6-hour job into 5 hours. Love you so much. Talk to you soon.